These right here are not the types of stories that you want to talk about, but obviously it needs to be discussed because obviously we have a problem on our hands.
Suspect in custody after a student was found dead on the University of Georgia campus. That student was 22-year-old Lakin Riley.
Police said there is no threat at this time to UGA's campus. Investigators concentrated day 2 of their investigation near an apartment complex next to the lake where Riley's body was found. They say Riley's death is the result of a crime. UGA says Riley was a student with them through the spring semester of last year before transferring to the Augusta University College of Nursing in Athens. Police received a call just after noon yesterday from a person concerned for their friend. That person said their friend did not come back from a run at the intramural fields. 30 minutes later, police found Riley.
Officers tried giving her emergency help, but she died there. Earlier in the day, UGA students were saying they would not feel safe until the person responsible was caught.
And the fact that the person hasn't been caught yet is really scary. Hence why I recruited somebody to come walk me back to my car.
A UGA spokesperson said authorities continue working around the clock to bring anyone involved to justice. As we said, there is a person of interest in custody tonight in connection with that student's death.
So it was reported over the weekend that a 22-year-old nursing student at the University of Georgia, Athens, was assaulted and bludgeoned to death while on a jog by a migrant who was actually locked up in New York City 2 years ago, who was let go by New York City Attorney General Alvin Bragg due to a lack of detention space. Now, I could come out here and I could do a video screaming, hollering, ranting, raving at how bad, how stupid this is, even though this story definitely reminds me of a story from back in 2015, 2016 timeframe. Of course, I'm talking about Kate Steinle, a girl who was killed by a migrant who had been deported on 5 separate occasions, but yet still somehow or another she got killed, even though the guy was obviously not supposed to be here. Actually, that occurred a lot longer than 5 years ago. Time flies so freaking fast, I have no idea what to say. But I remember that incident. Of course, it kind of reminds me of this incident here, which, of course, we will be talking about here momentarily. But, guys, I want you to know something right now. Before we get into the story, there's going to be 2 things. Number one, there's going to be some updates at the end of the video because I think I need to fill you guys in on a little something that's going on here where I'm at. Also, something else, too. It's got to do largely with the schedule going forward because, obviously, somebody has decided to implement something a little bit faster. This is completely out of my control, by the way. And, of course, the other thing that I'm going to be talking about in this video, which I probably should have led with this right here, is this video right here is going to be more from the prepper side, the angle, because these universities can get dangerous. And, of course, these universities, it's very, very possible, may get more dangerous, seeing how it is that in an election year where things typically tend to go haywire, yes, things obviously do happen, and seeing how it is that we've got migrants that are connected to Venezuelan gangs. Yeah, you guys might want to, let's just say if you've got kids or if you've got people going to college that you know, you might want to double down on the protection. With that right there being said, let's go ahead.
Investigators with the school's police department announced they have a suspect in custody. They say 26-year-old Jose Antonio Ibarra will face a slew of charges, including malice murder and felony murder. Fox 5's Mary Smith attended a news conference following the arrest. She joins us live from the campus with the details. Mary?
Investigators announced those charges against the suspect, saying they don't believe that he knew the victim in this case. He was taken into custody today as investigators say the evidence is, quote, robust.
We are obtaining arrest warrants for Jose Antonio Ibarra, 26 years of age. He lives here in Athens, but is not a U.S. citizen.
Taken Jose Antonio Ibarra into custody in connection with the death of 22-year-old Lakin Riley.
He has been charged with the following: malice murder, felony murder, aggravated battery, aggravated assault, false imprisonment, kidnapping, hindering a 911 call, and concealing the death of another.
Police say Thursday Riley's roommate called them concerned when she didn't come home after going for a run in this area near intramural fields. Police found her unconscious and not breathing in a nearby wooded area behind Lake Herrick.
Lakin attended UGA through spring of 2023, then transferred to a nursing program at Augusta University in Athens. At the press conference Friday night, police were asked her cause of death.
Blunt force trauma.
The migrant named Ibarra bludgeoned this girl to death. Now, I want to say this really quick. There are a lot of people who are posting things online, and don't worry, there'll probably be a follow-up to the story that we're saying that this guy was actually obsessed with Miss Riley. Like, he actually had an affinity for Miss Riley. I'm not going to go in that direction because we have no actual proof. But I want to say this really quick. If you bludgeon somebody to death, like if you actually grab a weapon and you actually bludgeon somebody, like you actually beat the literal hell out of them, you bludgeon them to death, then that right there signals to me that this person's obviously got some serious issues. I mean, think about this really quick. The MO of how you would kill somebody, especially a girl much, much smaller than yourself. I have no idea why you want to do that. Look, I'm not going to get too much to the psychological thing here. All I know is that if you bludgeon somebody to death, that signals that there's obviously some serious problems. There's another person who used to bludgeon women to death, especially when it came to college campuses, women who were college age. His name was Ted Bundy. I'm not saying it's the exact same thing here, but still at the same time, I'm pretty sure if you guys are familiar with him, you probably know where I'm going with this. This person obviously had a lot of hate in their system, a lot of hate in their heart. I mean, it requires literal hate and a lot of anger in order to actually try to bludgeon somebody to death. This is not like pulling out a gun and shooting somebody and taking their money. It's not like actually stabbing somebody, even though that right there would definitely denote some personal issues as well. Obviously, killing somebody in cold blood would denote some personal issues. But if you bludgeon somebody to death, then obviously there's a lot of serious hardcore problems going on with this situation or with this person than you would think. Let's watch a little
suspect.
More. At this time, the investigation suggests that they had no relationship. He did not know her at all. I think this was a crime of opportunity. Where he saw an individual and bad things happen. The evidence suggests that this was a solo act. We took 3 or 4 people in custody. However, we're only going to arrest 1 in this case.
As of Friday night, police said investigators were still searching the suspect's apartment.
At this time, the search warrant is taking place at the apartment right now as we speak. That evidence is not known. I will say we didn't need the evidence inside of the apartment.
When he said right there at the end that we didn't need the evidence or we don't need that evidence, but yet we're still, I mean, I'm hoping what he's saying is that we didn't need the evidence for this case. This guy's place needs to be turned upside down, I mean, thoroughly in every way. I'm talking all the way to fingerprints, which, by the way, cops are going to do that anyways, but we need all this information available. And the reason why is because, and I kind of laid this out in a previous video, especially talking about the ones who assaulted the 2 NYPD officers in New York and Times Square. Those boys turned out to be connected to a much, much larger operation, much, much larger gang. To me, it's really sad, though, that local police, they've got to actually do the job that the current federal government's not doing, which, of course, is to vet these people who come in. This right here is a travesty. This right here should not have occurred, and it should not be occurring at all. And I can already hear somebody saying, well, you're just whining about it. Because no. This type of crap shouldn't happen anywhere, not inside big cities or anything like that. The people who voted for this crap, you basically invited people in to take you out. And I don't mean to lunch. I don't mean to dinner or anything. Like, you invite the people in who envy you, who envy your lifestyle, who envy the amount of money that you have. They're looking to collect off the government, and they're looking to utilize the very weak prosecutors of this nation to get away with our own crimes. Not to mention the fact that they're already committing a crime being here illegally anyways. But this is what they're doing. They're attacking people who, quite frankly, are innocent and should not be touched at all. People who are just going on about their daily lives. That's what criminals do, and you let the criminals in. This guy right here needs to be investigated all the way down to a T. We need to find out friends, associates, all that type of stuff. We need to go all the way back to his nation of origin, all that type of stuff there, and we need to find out, do the stuff that New York City failed to do, or let's just go ahead and be honest, didn't want to do. So basically another scumbag who shouldn't have been allowed into the country. This girl's parents spent a lot of money to send this girl to college under the impression that she would be safe. But apparently safety is obviously something that the colleges don't really care about, or maybe the colleges do care about this. Either way, though, it's pretty obvious that the Biden administration does not care about this, or whoever the hell is actually controlling the Biden administration. Basically, as somebody who, quite frankly, should not have been in the country. My last video, we talked about the Soho murder case and the Soho murder and how it is that Arizona has gotten their hands on him and he's not letting him go back to New York. Now, the governor of the state of Georgia, Brian Kemp, he was on Fox News earlier. I'll try to link it in the description box. He was complaining about this, talking about how torn up he was over it. But I'm kind of wondering right now, dude, why are you torn up about this? Because while definitely this girl's family is torn up, as you guys are about to see here in a second, it's not just her family, it's also friends too. You have allowed the sanctuary city status of Athens, Georgia to be in place the entire time you've been governor. You've been governor now for close to a full 6 years. And you mean to tell me, and not to mention the fact that you're also partly responsible for a lot of the crap that's going on, especially seeing how it is that you and the legislative body of the state of Georgia could get Fannie Willis's ass off that case, which, by the way, is already falling apart. But still, at the same time, Governor Brian Kemp probably needs to be quiet at this moment in time. You probably need to just kind of zip it. I don't think anybody wants to hear from you at this moment in time. This guy was able to get to a sanctuary city, which is Athens, Georgia, where the University of Georgia is located at. He was able to chase this girl down while she was out on a nice little jog, bludgeoned this girl to death, and also to go on top of this, as I mentioned earlier, had been detained, had been arrested for another violent crime in New York City back in late 2022, and yet somehow or another he was released. Fascinating. Fascinating. It's fascinating because, as you guys can obviously see, these people are taking advantage of very, very woke prosecutors. Now, guys, in the follow-up video that I have today, which of course is about Chicago, you're going to see that people have had enough of the woke prosecutors. People have had enough of the woke policies. Somebody argued the other day, I'll try to link the video in the description box, that leftists were actually much, much more black-pilled than people on the conservative side because the leftists are starting to see their actual policies being put in place. And, of course, as a result of the policies being put in place, they're starting to actually feel what it is that they voted for. Of course, that was going to happen. But this girl's family, of course, they're not going to see their daughter anymore because this guy here, Joe Biden, who, by the way, decided he wanted to put this tweet out today, wants to talk about protecting women, but yet here it is, a 22-year-old young girl got killed. Now, to all the people out there who are going to say, well, this right here is just some young white girl who got killed, my response to them is this right here. You people voted for the deaths of people who were white and people who were of color too. You see, the truth be told is death has no favorite. Death has no favorite in any situation, and criminals have no favorite either. Yes, there are some out there who obviously have a certain thing they want to go after. I mean, we don't know the full thing that drove this guy to do what it is that he did, but still at the same time, though, death has no favorites. Death comes for everybody. It just so happens to be that sometimes it preys on something that, quite frankly, is much, much weaker and smaller than its actual target. That's the truth about these people. They're all cowards, they're scum, and this is what they do. Which is what's going to lead me into this next part of this video. Now, while this right here was definitely a horrible situation, we are still waiting on more. And I mean more details. But let me go ahead and try to end this video by helping you guys out with something, especially somebody who, quite frankly, lives in a university town. So speaking of Fox News, speaking of the fact that Governor Brian Kemp was up there, speaking about Fox News itself, Fox News decided to air a segment interviewing. And I mean interviewing some of the girls who actually went to school with this girl. One girl in particular was talking about the safety at campuses. And this is something that, quite frankly, we have to deal with at least until this situation gets taken care of. Remember something, guys. I want you to remember something right quick. Deporting this person is not going to help because chances are they're probably going to get right back in here. You're going to see in the video that I've got released in the second half of the day that's going to be released on Monday, that the situation in Chicago, and I know you're probably thinking, what does Chicago have to do with Georgia? Well, it's got a lot more than you think because, as we talked about in the previous videos, some of these people are connected to Venezuelan gangs. Some of these people are connected to gangs throughout South America. I mean, for all we know, they're connected to old school Medellin guys who are still alive who found a way to evade arrest somehow. Fact of the matter is we've got some pretty bad hombres here, and the Biden administration let them in. Obviously, they are not vetting these people. They're not checking into their backgrounds. So therefore, we don't know who the hell is actually here. We also don't know if these people have got some form of mental disorder or anything like that. As I mentioned before, this guy chose to bludgeon this young girl to death. If you bludgeon somebody to death, that right there sort of, and like I said, I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but I think that right there is pretty obvious that if you choose to bludgeon someone to death, chances are you've got some serious issues. I mean, not all your dogs are barking. Now, guys, I let that segment run a little bit longer, but here's what I wanted to talk about to kind of end this video, or before I get to the final segment, which I'm going to give you guys some updates in. I was a gun salesman here in the town that I live in for about a year. It was the mall that I was working at. It was a sporting goods store. And of course, we had pistols and rifles both. Now, what does this have to do with this conversation? Well, obviously, as someone who works in a university town, which by the way, I would eventually go to the university myself about a year or so later and get my second degree. I got a lot of people who came up to the counter. A lot of fathers would come to the counter with their daughters, trying to get them a pistol, try to get them a firearm. I'm not telling you to do this or do that. I mean, even though if I had a daughter, I probably would do the exact same thing too myself. This girl right here could have benefited, of course, if she had somebody with her. Chances are the guy probably would not have attacked her if she'd had a group with her, or she'd done with a group. But still, at the same time, though, people need to be able to feel safe when they go out and they do a jog. Like I said, I'm not critiquing the girl at all. I'm just simply talking about the safety situation here. Mace, blackjack, aspeton, something like that to help her defend herself. I know she's smaller and whatnot. Still, though, this girl should not have been attacked. The thing is this right here. Obviously, when you carry your daughter to a college or to a university where she's going to be staying in dorms, even though it's with other girls, you would hope and pray that these areas would be safe. Apparently not, and apparently it's going to get much, much worse than the Biden administration. It's probably going to be like this for a while. Even if you do get new leadership, it's going to take a while for the incoming leadership to get these people out. So obviously, it's going to be a while that we're going to be under this cloak where safety is definitely going to be an issue. I would advise people to travel in packs, travel in twos. I would advise you, if you go to college, try to equip your child with whatever you can to help keep them safe. I understand school regulations, which, by the way, the college campuses need to allow some form of firearm policy, meaning that people need to be armed. The university that I went to, I didn't stay in the dorm, so therefore it didn't really affect me, but still at the same time, it's not like I went to that school without some form of weaponry. I mean, I did have something, I probably shouldn't have let that out, but then again, I'm not going back to that college anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Nobody was just going to run up on me. Now, granted, I'm obviously a guy, I'm obviously a male, I'm less likely to get attacked by one of these thugs who want to prey on young girls, but still at the same time, though, if you've got a daughter that's going to one of these college campuses, especially in this day and age, seeing how it is that these migrants who are probably connected to gangs are going to good old-fashioned suburban area colleges like the University of Georgia at Athens, chances are something could go wrong. So you might want to make sure that your child is safe, make sure that they are armed with something, at least something to protect themselves with going into the situation. And there's one more thing, too, and I need to say this right here before I end the video.
And do your fellow female students feel safe in the wake of this?
I'm going to be honest and say not really. I mean, my friends, they've been sleeping over. They're all going together places. We went to the store together. We're just trying to maintain, I guess, the buddy system now because we thought it was safe during daytime, but I don't feel safe. My mom has ordered me self-defense tools. I mean, I thought I was safe because this is a fairly small college town, but you know, that's just been completely changed for us. And so now we're just very concerned for each other's well-beings and focusing on staying together at all times now.
Well, I sure hope that they will increase some security measures. I had seen where some students calling for petitioning for more security measures. Just in the moment I've got left with you, I do want to ask you, you've heard so much about the reporting in the last 24 hours that this was an individual that illegally came to the U.S. Through Texas and was released. Is that, are students there aware of that? Are they talking at all about the fact that he might not have been there had it been a different immigration situation?
Yes, and we're very, very upset that this could have been easily preventable, not only on campus with safety measures, but nationally. This could have been preventable. And the fact that people like Lakin, nursing students who are going to go out and save lives, had to have their lives taken from them, that is just so sad that we had to prove that this is a national...
Really quick, when I say this, if you are a lady watching this channel, if you are one of the very few ladies who watch my content, please leave a comment in the comment section and tell me if I'm wrong, okay? I mean, like I said, I'm always willing to have a conversation if I get something wrong, but please say something to me in the comment section. In my experience, of being somebody who is being at the bars, the clubs, partying, stuff like that, because I was kind of wild in my 20s, especially in my military days. And then when I went back to college both times, especially the last time I was there, kind of an overgrown child, definitely maturing a lot later in life. One thing that I noticed that girls, they would oftentimes grab people, like myself included, like me, for example. Like, I just go ahead and give you a quick little physical description of myself. I'm 5'11", I weigh right at 200 pounds. I'm a little bit bulky. Of course, I've got to drop 20 or 30 pounds before the end of the year is over with due to some health issues. But still at the same time, though, they didn't hesitate to ask me to walk them home. Think about it this way here. If you ever watched the television show Shameless, if you got to season 5 or season 6, Big Kev, he became the R walker. I've got to say it that way because of the algorithm. The reason why, and I understand it's based on some actual humor, but there's people who actually do this right here. And I was one of the guys who used to walk the girls home back to their place before I went back to my vehicle and went back home. The fact of the matter is this right here. If you're going to be in these college towns, regardless of how safe it is, you still need to travel in packs, at least travel in some groups or whatnot, because these types of situations are probably going to become, how do I say, much, much more frequent, especially given the fact that a lot of these criminals are being let go by these very, very woke district attorneys. It just so happens to be that this right here is the first one to make national headlines. And the thing is this right here. These girls, kids in particular, you go to college. I understand that these universities are very, very woke, but there are certain situations in certain medical fields where kids do not get radicalized or anything like that. So don't be thinking that that's fully the case. This girl right here did not need to be killed. None of these kids who go to these college campuses need to be put in some form of danger at all. You go to these college campuses to actually try to learn something, not potentially lose your life because the current sitting president doesn't want to secure the border, because the current sitting president has an agenda, which is to replace another race of people. With that right there being said, guys, let me go ahead and give you guys these very, very quick updates here at the end of the video, and then we'll go ahead and shut the entire thing up. This same exact video clip will be showing up in video number 2, so make sure you guys stick around for that one as well, and let's go ahead and do this. And here's the quick update, which, by the way, is going to be in the next video as well. The posting schedule is probably going to change the 1st of March. I'm probably not going to be posting 2 videos a day. It's probably going to be like maybe within a 6-day period. It's probably going to be like maybe a total of like 9 videos total, maybe 10 rather than 12 to 13. Things are obviously changing. I'm going to try to have this area right here probably refixed, just reworked a little bit. It doesn't seem like a whole lot because obviously I post from this platform on this platform every day. But the thing is this right here, Mondays are going to be kind of hard. Monday's the day they do the landscaping around here, and of course, they've already started. As a matter of fact, they started 2 weeks ago. They actually did it again last week. They're just going to be doing it every Monday. And it's like that from about 10 o'clock in the morning, or actually, it actually starts about 9:30. It's like that all the way to 7 o'clock at night. It's a lot of work out here where I live. It's an apartment complex. There's just a lot of work that's being done. So therefore, the videos that you guys see on Monday will always be what was happened over the weekend or what was breaking at that time. But I went ahead and released it on Monday, but chances are I did the videos on Sunday itself. Monday's going to be like a writing day going forward. It's kind of one of those days where I can kind of finalize scripts and stuff for the actual video essays that are going to be coming in this year. And of course, I've been trying to go ahead and get the transitioning to that type of content out. And of course, I've been a little bit behind on that, but starting next week is when we're actually going to be officially doing that. I've already got everything ready to go from there. Just expect not as many videos. I wouldn't say, like I said, you probably won't really notice it at first because I released roughly 13 videos within a 6 or 7 day period, sometimes 14, sometimes even 15. The idea is to kind of bring it back down to about 9 or 10, algorithmic purposes, and not to mention the fact that the videos are longer in scope and much, much more detailed as I actually get the content out there. I'm just kind of giving you guys a bit of a heads up. If it looks kind of weird or kind of wonky like that, that's the reason why. And as always, guys, I love to tell you guys exactly what's going on so that way you guys are, how do I say, not caught completely by surprise when you see something that might be a little bit different. With that right there being said, this same clip, of course, is going to be in video number 2, so make sure you guys stick around for that one too. Please hit the like button, share the video, sign up in the comment section. We'd love to hear what you guys have got to say, and I'll see you guys later.